So now let's take a look at vSphere virtual volumes, or vVols. vVols has been a big topic of conversation for a lot of folks for the last couple of years, and it's been a part of so many roadmap conversations I can't even begin to remember them. Everything was, well, what is vVols going to do, and how is this going to interact with things like stretched clustering and vMotion, and what's going to happen? Well, now inside of vSphere 6, we're seeing virtual volumes come to life. So what are vVols? What do they mean to the enterprise? So let's take a look at life without virtual volumes and life with virtual volumes. Without virtual volumes, we were doing all of our virtual machine storage assignments up inside of the virtualization stack. This meant that whatever happened to that machine, swap files, snapshots, disk creation, whatever it was really all only apparent to vSphere. When it came down into the storage stack, it was really just a bunch of block and file bits and bytes, which led to all sorts of issues with the non-sequentialization of I/O, with data being more difficult to recover, and so this is where we've been living. Going back to the conversation that we've had between virtualization and storage admins, it's been great, but there's also been challenges attached to that. And there's been so much that really great enterprise class storage can do that vSphere hasn't been able to offload and take advantage of. But now we look at life with virtual volumes. With virtual volumes, the virtual machine is now the point of granularity. And we're able to create these virtual volumes down to the storage array. So every time you have a VMDK, a snapshot, maybe you have a swap file that gets created at boot. All of these things are going to become virtual volumes and going to be added down to the storage array. So this means that our capacity to interact, to offload work from vSphere down into the virtual volumes and the storage array is only increasing. Now, this also means that your decisions when you're looking at storage vendors become all the more important, because you're going to want to align the customer with the right storage that's going to support things like virtual volumes. Again, just to create a virtual volume is one thing, but then to give it the growth capacity it needs to take advantage of offloaded data services, replication, snapshots, encryption, deduplication, that's going to all fall back to the storage array. And we do this all and attach it still to the policy-based management that exists in that top-down approach of looking at storage virtualization first and the integration of vVols from the vSphere stack down into the storage array. And best of all, we no longer have to worry about LUNs and bins. Because we're consuming from one big pool, it makes it so much easier for storage administrators to provision resources without having to worry about how those resources are going to be consumed. vSphere Virtual Volumes is really about extending the data center picture. It's not about a rip and replace. It's not about changing everything that the customer is doing. But you can see that what we're doing is moving beyond just the virtual paradigm that Virtual SAN lives in. And now Virtual SAN has the capacity to interact with direct attached storage, and now Virtual Volumes has the ability to take us even further and leverage storage awareness and offload this functionality to all the really cool things that your storage arrays can do. We're seeing a bigger picture inside of the data center when it comes to storage integration at the virtual stack. This gives us the ability to look at all of these features with virtual volumes. Things like thin provisioning, linked clones, native snapshots occurring down at the storage array level, being able to leverage advancements in vMotion, distributed resource scheduling, API hooks, as well as integrations with things like operations and automation to give us clearer insight and more control over how we're provisioning storage in an on-demand cloud environment. This all ties back together, again, to this bigger picture, that it's not just about storage on the bottom and compute on the top. We're integrating all of these components together to create a more holistic ecosystem to support the brave new IT that we're headed toward.